Welcome back to the Focus Podcast. Today we have Buddy Broyles with the Visual Learning Solutions on the show. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Great to be here, Mario. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, of course. Thanks for having me on a while back on yours. I just wanted to invite you back in. I know you guys are up to a lot of good stuff over there and wanted to unpack a little bit of what you're doing. Right off the bat, when you say learning design,
Yes.
kind of unpack what that means for those who don't know.
Great. So learning design is essentially an entire ecosystem of knowledge and training that understands or tries to understand how adults learn. We learn different from children. And so there are entire specialties, degrees, advanced degrees around learning design. Instructional designers are basically by profession, that's the name. And those are a lot of people who I have the pleasure of working with, smart people who have spent a lot of their education understanding the different modalities, styles, designs, processes around how do we get what you need to know inside your head. So that's really what, and the different ways to do it are understanding the learner, for different types of projects, there are different types of learners, sometimes 4 or 5 different types of learners. So you have to build learning to reach them. So I mean, there's a much bigger answer to that, but surface level, it's just designing learning to get inside the head of the learner.
I love this for many different aspects that you touched on. The fact that we as adults are going to be learning different than children. I think a lot of people, myself included, don't know that, don't understand that, and they probably don't understand how they learn either.
Right.
Because they haven't taken the time to do that. And as we all know, if you want to be successful, you have to continue your education. You have to continue learning. But if you don't understand how you learn, that can be very difficult. So are there some ways that you guys go about the initial part as far as establishing how someone learns?
Yes. And so, one process is something called the ADDIE model, which is analyze, design, develop, implement, and then evaluate. Right. And that's just, there are a couple different models for training design. At the beginning, and I know you're familiar with this, is for any project that we start, we do a discovery, right? And in that discovery, one of the major questions we ask for the stakeholders to the success of the project is who are your learners? And then we really get into identifying, what type of person they are, where are they at in their career, what age, what type of information that they seem to be consuming now. Because some people will learn, they just like the white papers. And maybe I want to say boomer types or whatnot. That's how they've always learned. They want to read something. They want it in front of them. And then we've talked a lot about, not in this conversation, but others, as you and I know, the different generations want different types of media. So that's really the trick, is understanding, hearing that from who's creating the training, who needs the training created. They need to train their workforce, and then dissecting, okay, how many different types of people, and putting that on paper to create a plan to execute. And in full disclosure, I'm not an instruction designer. I'm a producer. I'm a leader. I'm the person who makes sure that from concept to delivery, everything gets done.
Right.
Almost, I'd say a project manager, but I wear a lot more hats than that. And so where I leverage instructional designers is to fill those gaps. I know enough about that process to be very dangerous.
Yes.
But to go deeper, I'd have an instructional designer ask those questions.
Okay.
It's more about what's important is that, and I'll give you an example of how this works. So in a discovery, we'll sit down with all the stakeholders. Best case scenario, and you know this, you're a true believer in the importance of a discovery call, of something at the beginning, to make sure you have all the stakeholders involved. And an example of how this works is we went to a company actually up in Nashville, and they install home theater systems, but I say home, big theater systems, large, medium churches and large churches, whatnot. But we sat down, we planned the day to where we had their front end people, just the installers, the people who are out there in front of your clients that are doing their jobs. And the first conversation we had before we went there was, we need a training program because our people aren't implementing our values. We're getting a lot of different feedback from our customers, that different levels of engagement that we're not enjoying. So we sat down, had a full 2-hour discovery, lots of great questions that were curated with the client, with the front end people. Then we paused, excused them, took a little time, put myself and a couple of instructional designers, put a presentation together and put that on hold. Then we brought in middle management, asked them similar questions about brand values, process, all of the things that they do need to do to execute their business. Took all of those answers, curated them, put them into a slide deck that we held for later. Then we brought in the C-suite and upper level management.
Yes.
Same questions, and then presented all of the findings throughout the day. And that showed the different types of people they have in their business and the disjointedness, if that's a word, from top to bottom, where they're not getting it.
Yes.
Right. And that's the critical part of the discovery process, which is part, like I mentioned, the ADDIE model, analyze. That's more of analyzing the material and the people, but the discovery is setting the roadmap to success. And again, my role is to make sure all of that happens for Visual Learning Solutions.
That's huge, because it sounds like a lot of companies that don't have a tailored approach are just saying, hey, this is how all of our people should be learning this.
Yes.
Right. And you did mention at the top the difference between, children and adults. I would argue that children may have the same thing in schools. You put 30 kids in a classroom and try to get them to learn the same way, where my daughter learns different, than another child may learn, right? So that is key for adults as well. You can't just sit, 1,000 people in a training and say, this is exactly how you learn. So I love how you're taking the data to say, okay, this pocket needs to be learning like this in this pocket. So I know you mentioned the churches and some other different companies. What are some of the industries, some of the best types of companies that need what you guys are doing?
So I think our value proposition is really we augment internal teams.
Okay.
So it's myself, and I've had employees in the past. Currently, it's a select group of very valued contractors. And we work with companies like 7-Eleven and Pizza Hut, where they'll call us and say, we just have a point of sale initiative, a training initiative that we can't really get to. And say it's a new point of sale that needs training from like a software on-screen training to some white paper creation. So they'll call us and we'll do that. Other companies, it's kind of mid-range companies that have some in-house knowledge and capability, but they really need to leverage the outside market.
Okay.
And that's where we come in, because I'm aligned with the Association of Talent Development, ATD, which is a international organization. But and they have a huge chapter here in Dallas, which I'm very involved in. But what I will do is leverage my team and my contacts and my network to say, okay, let's say it's an aerospace project. And just something small, because they usually have a sizable team. I will find instructional designers that are in my network that have worked in some type of engineering or whatnot, rather than, let's say, Pepsi.
Yeah.
That, let's say food service. Those don't translate well. I'm not saying the instructional designers can't pivot, but that's my leverage, is I bring this depth of instructional designers and other people that have those capabilities. An example is we received a call from a local company. I'll mention them, Presidium, a few years back. And historically, they had just created training videos with, and it's an abuse prevention company.
Okay.
Their customers are large dioceses of the Catholic Church, USA Gymnastics, Scouts, those types of things. Really big organizations,
right,
that adults working with kids. So abuse prevention is a big business. It's
totally
an important business. And so they reached out to us to solve the problem of, we've been creating these videos, and it's basically actors acting as abusers, telling their story, their red flags and whatnot. And in a call and a subsequent discovery, we understood that their learners need to be highly engaged in different ways. They need visual, they need audio, they need to use their imagination, because you can't show abuse. You need to make them understand at their level.
Yeah.
Because if you say the word abuse, it means something different to everybody, because we're not all exposed to people who don't watch TV or stuff like that. Their level of abuse is just someone yelling, possibly, right? You have to meet people where they are.
Right.
And so we created a huge program understanding the need of the customer and their learners that was basically a film that told a story. And in between the story, the commercial breaks, as we call them, there was the narrative, which was the story, and then the informative, which was the commercial breaks pointing out kind of what you saw.
Mm-hmm.
You saw red flag behaviors. Let's talk about those types of things. So it's really about sitting down with the customer and understanding their audience and the different ways they need to learn, and also meet them where they are psychologically. Like I said, if you're training a bunch of adults for abuse prevention, especially, you may have someone in there that's 18. You may have someone in there that's 50.
Yeah.
Their understanding and exposure to the world is going to be vastly different.
Right.
So you have to tell a story and create training that engages them where they are in their life and in their learning ability. So long answer to your question.
No, I love it because it really shows the importance of a tailored approach.
Yes.
That's based
I really
on
like the way you phrase that. That's the
you
right
can
way
steal
to say
that
it.
if you want.
Yeah. I'll borrow it. I'll borrow it and credit you.
But I like that because again, we don't think about it on the day to day that we all learn differently.
Yes.
So why just stuff everyone in a box and say, hey, just watch this module, right? So I love the fact that you guys are breaking that down. I know you're passionate about this. We talked about this offline as well. What's your why behind what you do? Like, why do you love doing this so much?
So it goes back to early in my career. I started at a small town TV station and just loved the creation of media, loved reaching an audience. When you're surrounded by passionate people who enjoy what they do, it's easy for that to catch like wildfire.
Yeah.
Right. And I worked with some really great professionals, people like Mark Kopuk, if you're listening, great mentors. And what was interesting at the time was I'd mentioned to Mark, should I major in this, Mark? I was trying to think. I was, obviously right out of high school. And he said, absolutely not, buddy. He said, unless you want to make a film, want to tell a story that way, major in something else, like the complementary to, if you enjoy this, do it. But major in something complementary. So I eventually went to school and got a degree in business. And in doing so, working in live television, working in marketing, commercial production, I'd say the first 8 years of my career was that type of media, which is a different type of. It's not even a learning audience. It's a target marketing audience, the consumer audience, right? When I pivoted I moved to Dallas, found a great job at a satellite training company, and something clicked with me because now we're creating media for people to better their lives. They can use this media for something rather than consuming. It's it's tools. We're giving them opportunity.
Right.
And that really sunk in with me. And from that time, I want to say it was 97, 98, I embraced the training industry because everything we did that we turned out helped people.
Yes.
Because especially for people that have to take mandatory training, if you make it good and interesting and engaging, then it's just better for them because one, they can learn it where they are. Two, it empowers them to do their job better. And when a company is making great training or at least good training, the employee feels like they're invested in.
Right.
So, when you stack those up, Mario, you get feel good,
yep.
right? And so it kind of fed my soul that I'm helping use the talents that I have, leveraging the talents of the people that I know, growing my network, to do something that feels good because it is good, right? Yeah. And that's my why, and I've never lost that. Everything I do now feels good and is good.
Yeah.
With minor exceptions, sometimes we don't always hit the mark, and when that happens, as you know, it ends at discovery. We're not a right fit. They're not ready. Oh, there's 1,000 reasons, right? But most of the time, what helps me sleep at night is that the products that we create for training are out there helping people. And helping the people that they help.
Yeah, so it truly makes an impact.
It does.
And to your point too, when you invest in your team and not only are they fulfilled, like you're saying, but the customer on the other end, they're getting served better.
Absolutely.
And so there's so many different layers and levels to it. To doing work that matters. So I just really appreciate the fact that you aren't just doing this just to do it. There's a passion behind it. There's a fire behind it.
Yes.
Because that's the win. Is being able to truly make a difference. Speaking of helping people and making a difference, you also have a podcast.
Yes.
Which is growing your business with Buddy Broyles.
Correct.
I was a guest on there. I really appreciate you having me on.
Great guest.
Great experience if you're a business owner out there looking for that. Tell us a little bit about that, who you're looking for, what that looks like.
Sure. Growing your business. I created Growing Your Business mainly because I'm a storyteller myself. And I enjoy having these conversations, Mario. And what better way to have a one-on-one, get to meet somebody, but also we both get something out of it, which is media that is marketable, that it's telling a story and out there doing good and helping people get to know the guest, right? And also, it's a great tool for any business to have a podcast because then it establishes you as a little bit of an expert, or at least you get to have those conversations, and it creates media for everybody involved, and in a one-on-one that you and I would enjoy anyway.
Yeah.
Now we're creating a podcast about that. So I started it as a lead generator and an opportunity to have conversations and leverage the media skills that I had and my team has for other people to enjoy. And that goes on. We're on year 2, about 50 something episodes in. I have no intention of stopping. Sometimes we record 3 or 4 a week. Wow. We air a couple a week. And it's just, like I said, it's good doing good. It's spreading the message of someone who's doing, I enjoy speaking to and doing a great job. And I say this way too much to everybody, and anybody listening knows that I say this too much, but the rising tide raises all ships. And I'm very much about, we are a network and a collaboration of people on a floating island that is the earth, right? And if we continue to leverage each other to each other's game, do mutual beneficial things.
Yes.
And I also don't believe in competition, as in there's a lot of air quote competition out there, but you are your own competition.
Right.
Use the skills that God gave you.
Yes.
And that's up to you. And if you perceive others as competitors, you're seeing it the wrong way, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
As in, we all have different skills and we all find our people. And again, growing your business, that's a way for people to find me, or to find my guests. Find your people, get to know them through podcasting. So that's my why for growing your business.
No, I love it, and I love the fact that you mentioned about the raising tides raises all ships, because that is when you move from that scarcity mindset to the abundance mindset. Right, it's everything, because then you're truly out to help people. And to your point, there's other video production companies, right? But I would happily be wanting to know them, refer them, because it may be that it's not a good project for us and maybe a better project for them. So what best serves the client? So I love the fact that you have that no competition approach, because it took me a while to get there, believe me, because I definitely had that mind block, right? But once you push through that, so many more doors can open for you. And I not only enjoy being a guest, but I enjoy watching the other guests that you have on. I learned something from them as well. So you do a really good job of interviewing them, getting their tips and expertise out. And I'm like, oh, that's a good nugget. That's a good note. So if you're out there, definitely check that out and subscribe. How would they subscribe to the podcast?
So it's if you just search "Growing Your Business with Buddy Broyles," you're going to find it. We're on, I want to say, 17 platforms now.
Wow!
Like I'm a curator of. Ooh, where else can we put this? So just find it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you consume your podcast. It's there. We just launched a YouTube channel that's under our podcast business brand called Blue Mike Studios. Find it there. But again, if you're an Apple person, Spotify, whatnot, just enjoy the show, enjoy what we do. Hopefully you'll find something that's useful, or ideally you hear a podcast and hear someone you'd like to work with.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. So if someone out there is listening and they work for a company or business that really needs this targeted personalized training for visual learning solutions, tell them kind of what the next steps are and how they can approach you.
Sure. If you want to work with me and my team, just go to visuallearningsolutions.com. We have a form there, or you can email me directly. It's just Buddy with a period in the middle, buddy.broyles, that's with an R, Broyles, at visuallearningsolutions.com. And I often give out my cell number. I've had it for 25 years now. It's 214-924-7207. I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to leverage the vast amount of network that I have. Really great people who are very passionate like I am that can help you. Like I said, we augment internal teams, or we can create something from scratch. I've been in this business for 35 years, and most of the people that come along with me, we have so much experience and can meet you where you're at from a budget, timeline, where you are in your journey. So I look forward to having that conversation with you. Thank you, Mario. Absolutely, buddy. It was a pleasure having you on. It's always good to chat with you and talk with you and interact with you on LinkedIn. Thanks for coming on the show, and good luck to you with your new ventures. And obviously, I know you've been doing visual learning solutions for a long time. So if you're listening to this, reach out to them. I know you'll be better for it. Until next time, I am Mario Wilson with the Focus Podcast and 12 Media Group, where we put your brand in focus.